Hey, welcome back, everyone. John Kelly, law enforcement life coach, with your Sometimes Heroes Need Help podcast. Got Jason Schechterle with me today. And man, what a great podcast. What a great interview. Such an interesting, inspirational, relatable guy, man. I know you're going to love this episode. Sit back, give it a listen. And I did something different this time. I recorded the entire episode from the time that we were just talking, getting to know each other a little bit better, to the actual time where we block the official, like this is the podcast section. So sit back, give it a listen. And I know you're going to come away with some added value to your life after listening to Jason. He's just such good people, man. Listen up, take care of yourselves and each other. And we'll see you next week. God bless. Bye-bye. I was just like, you would think like that you would be plugged into this, like this would be something that you would know about, right? And I know you've got some NDAs and some other stuff with Ford and all that I'm sure you can't go off on them, but
oh, I can. It's only the amount. Just so you know, it's the only NDA I have is the amount. So we can talk about anything when it comes to the book. Right. Whatever's written in the book, we can talk about.
Right. I just, listen, this is the thing. Your story, right, is like, I read this fucking book and I was getting upset and emotional at the parts that you wouldn't think that were upset and emotional. Like your injuries fucking didn't get me emotional. The reaction and the story and the backstory with your wife and your son and your partners, Brian and Shane.
Yeah.
And I was just like, fuck, man, like there's so much. And it's so, I mean, I've got this thing, like I said, fucking pen.
I can't wait. I can't wait to get these questions because I don't get these. I love it.
It's just, bro, it's everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a story. And it pains me to see what people, everything's relative, what people think like a tough time is. Mm-hmm. Right? The shit that we get like fucking weighed down on, the stuff that we think is problematic, the stuff that we just, I'm embarrassed that I thought about taking my own life when I was having issues. Do you understand? I mean,
oh, I get it. Listen, I get
sense,
it,
man.
And I get it. I think it's something we should definitely, get in the weeds on, because this is something I talk about in my talks all the time, and I deal with other people, and even myself now. You got to figure, I'm coming up on 22 years in March, and now I've got my own. I just turned 50 this year.
Right.
My kids are all grown, doing their thing. I didn't realize you worry about them more when they're older than you do when they're younger. I didn't know that.
It doesn't seem like that would be possible.
Becoming an empty nester has been like, dude, I'm not gonna lie, like the hardest thing for me emotionally has been this past year. It wasn't 21 years ago. It was this past year.
That's insane.
Yeah. But I try to tell people, like, listen, because I get people all the time walk up like, oh, Jason, I'm not going to complain anymore. My problems are small. I'm like, no. If you think of it like that, like your problems right now, those are your problems. And you don't know what you got coming up. You know what? You might catch on fire in 10 years. So don't fucking give up yet. It might happen.
Oh my God.
But when I'm dealing with the stuff I'm dealing with right now, and I got my highs and lows, and I'm angry or crying or anxious, or then I'm all of a sudden freaking happy and laughing and motivated. Not one time in that do I think, well, you know what? I overcame something a lot worse. I went through this fight. Dude, I don't even think about that.
Isn't it crazy
today, though? And you've got to be present with yourself, right? You got to be present. Like
Yeah,
I don't know all the details of what almost made you take your life, or how close you got to it. But in those moments, you were present with yourself,
sure.
and then you didn't do it.
Right.
Thankfully, to a lot of people who
Right.
love you, because
Right.
suicide. You've been around it.
Yeah, man.
It and when I was in listen,
It's
uh,
a it's a
I,
permanent solution
it
to a temporary problem, and
it is, and
it
it's
absolutely
so fucking
destroys
so it just
it
destroys so
destroys
many,
people. Yep.
because being dead, like being stupid, it's only hard on the people who
Dude,
love you,
you
right?
never
So
you can never right the wrong, man. You
you
can
can,
never make things better
dude,
if you're not
can
here, right?
no. So that's just something I believe in, with being president and
Right.
dealing. I tell people all the time, if you're on your way to a meeting for work tomorrow and you get a flat tire, don't stand on the side of the road thinking, well, I didn't go through what Jason went through. Does my burnt face blow up your fucking tire? No. So
Right.
fix your tire, right?
Right.
It's
Right.
that simple.
Right. No
And
doubt.
that's just how that's helped me a lot to just like, listen, whatever comes today, whatever comes tomorrow, I'll deal
Yeah,
with it.
man.
I'm not
Because
gonna worry about
that made me, when I was reading the book, there were so many moments I reflected. I was like, he's got the same fucking issues I do, and everybody else does.
it. 100%.
It's not like he went through this horrific incident and now nothing phases him. That's not fucking reality. That's not life.
Dude,
I
people
mean,
think that though.
that's crazy. I know.
It's like they're blocked out, especially cops. They're the worst, because uh they they either think that's not going to happen to me, so I'm just going to ignore it,
Right.
or they look at it like you just said, and you, man, you gotta soak it in. You gotta soak every day in, and whatever you got going on, whatever your story is,
Yeah.
you're writing it, you're reading it. I don't
Yeah.
I don't get
Right.
to live your life, and you don't get
You
to
got
live mine. So
right.
why are we gonna? No reason to compare it. No reason to.
Isn't that
It ain't
crazy,
bigger,
man?
smaller. It ain't nothing. It's just life,
It
and
is.
it's ours.
And I love, so I love how you started the book. I want to quote something like to begin
Okay.
our interview, and then
Yep.
I want to end with one of your quotes, and it's actually all on the same page. And what I'm not going to do, right? Like, listen, I think the story is amazing, but I think what you're doing now is a bigger story, if that even makes sense.
It does, because I feel that I wouldn't
Okay,
trade
because I was
places.
like, listen, man, it's about paying it forward at this
I would,
point.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
wouldn't trade places. The stuff I get to do, the people I meet,
yeah, man.
the difference I think I make now. I see my other friend like Brian. He's an assistant chief now in
Okay,
Phoenix, and it's
okay.
awesome. So
Yeah,
he's starting to go bald and go gray, and I laugh at him. And then Shane is down at the academy. He's one of our best instructors,
nice.
and he's getting fatter and uglier. And I
Sure.
tell him the same thing.
Right.
And it's fine to daydream about, be like, what would I be doing right now,
Right.
if I was still on the path they were on. But again, it's only fun to daydream, and a couple minutes is all I need. And
Right.
then I'm right back to, what, I wouldn't trade this for the world.
No,
This is awesome.
it is. And when we did when you guys had me on the Bad Boys podcast, and we did our thing, I didn't know your story, brother. I'm fucking, like I said, I don't know where the fuck I've been for 22 years, man, but I'm just fucking doing my thing, right? And
That's right.
trying to fucking raise my family and not fucking die and everything else. But I looked at this book, and I tell you, I looked at it for like a month, and I was like, that's a big fucking book. And listen, I'm used to comic books, right? I'm like, this is a big book. I don't know. So I got into it, and honestly, I read it in like 3 days.
Jesus.
And I was just like, the internet went out one day, so there was no TV watching, right? So I was like, yeah, I was on it. And I love how you just go through everything. And obviously there's a bunch of parallels from the job and everything. But I think what I want to do, man, is I want to obviously touch on and talk about that day and some of the key events that surrounded that day, because I mean, that's the foundation of the story. But I really
Yeah.
want to leave that in the rear view, bro, because to me, the story is the foundation. It's what you're doing to help people. It's you bringing awareness to some things, and it's you inspiring and empowering. And in that regard, I want to put out there that message, your message, and just, just just go with it. But
Yeah, let's do it.
we don't need to rewrite the history of it, man. But I think I
No,
want to just touch on it because that's kind of why we're here now, right?
right,
Um,
right.
so I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna say my little spiel, and if
Okay.
it's all jacked up, I'll re-record something. But
Yeah,
I'm just kind of gonna wing it off the top of my head, and we'll jump into it. All right.
sounds great.
All right, man.
All right.
And thanks again, man, for like with the time and everything. My wife
Dude.
was like, where do I have them dump it? What do you want me? I'm like,
Oh, listen,
not gonna
I
end
know.
up dumping
I
10
know.
yards of rock in the wrong spot. I'm like,
Right on top of your car or something.
yeah, all right,
But
or
yeah,
right in front of the driveway, so we can't get any up. I gotta move
I
10
get it.
yards of rock so we can leave tomorrow.
I get it.
Oh my God. It's like
You're
fucking
making
A,
me
too
fucking
much.
laugh, dude.
Oh my God. All right. So, hey, welcome back, everybody. John Kelly with the Law Enforcement Life Coach. Sometimes Heroes Need Help podcast. Hey, listen, I'm going to pat myself on the back. Jason Schechterle is sitting down with us today. He's the subject of the book Burning Shield. And listen, you might have been living under a rock. I was living under a rock. Jason's story, man, it's everything that's right about this world. I guess that's the most simplest way I can explain a really complex, really multifaceted situation. It is, I read this book in 3 sittings, and it is everything that is right with this world. Jason was a Phoenix police officer back in March of 2001, was involved in a horrible accident. And we're going to discuss the trials, the tribulations, how he got through, what he got through, and what he's doing now to give back to not only the first responder community, but just mankind, man, just people in general. And without me rambling on like a jackass, hey, brother, it's good
How
to
are
see
you?
you, man.
Dude, it's great to see you, and I appreciate you give me the opportunity. The honor is all mine to be on your show.
Please, brother. We talked a little bit before we jumped into this, and I looked at this book, and it was like, I don't know, 400 pages. And I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm reading 400 pages. I ripped through this book, man. What a great book. What a great story. I want to start off, I want to go to the book, and it's something that it's in the foreword, and it just grabbed me. You're right. The thing about goals and dreams is that they often change, whether by choice, design, or destiny. I found that out in a big way just 15 months after, when my police cruiser exploded it to a horrific fireball. I was about to learn an entirely new scale for defining the words sacrifice and endure. Welcome to the job.
You know what? That's it. And I wish I could write a letter to myself back then and be like, you know, it's great to be young and stupid. It's fair. We're allowed to be. We're
Yeah, man.
allowed to be young and stupid. We could be doe-eyed, and we can have our plans, and it's going to go this way. And you know what? It don't go that way.
No, man. And you worked at this plan
Took me, yeah.
for the longest of times. I mean, you had a good job. I think you were making like 60K a year, and
Mhm.
it wasn't your passion though. And
No,
therein lies the problem, right?
yeah, you know, it's interesting when you look back on my story. When you look back for me, I wanted this job when I was 16 years old, and
Right.
everything that I did was to get this job. So I did good in school, didn't screw around,
Right.
didn't do drugs, none of that stuff. I would have done those anyway, but I'm just saying,
Right.
and then I had a golf scholarship
Yo, I mean,
coming out
like
of
you're
high
like,
school.
no, you're like hot shit fucking PGA
So
like hopeful, man.
I was at the time.
Yeah, you
And
were.
but I still had to call the service,
Yeah,
and I
man.
recognized at a young age, you know what, you need some structure and discipline. Some of my friends weren't, doing the right things, and I'm like, I wanted to get out of Phoenix for a little while and just see the world. So I joined the military, wanted to wear a uniform, joined the Air Force. It's not like
Yeah,
I
you
was going
did.
to join the Marines and Army and go fucking fight,
No, you had some.
very hard.
You had some sense about you there.
Oh, I was incredibly intelligent. I mean, good food, good looking girls. It was like, this is a no brainer that I'm
Right.
joining the Air Force. And I came home and it was like, boom, dude, let's go. This is easy, right? You just show up and they give you the job.
Right.
Well, that's not how it goes. And I'm the one who I screwed up a bunch of times
Yeah.
in the testing process. Then I had other cities that I'd applied for that I did really well. They just weren't hiring as many. So anyway, you read the book, long story,
Yeah.
but it was when I realized, you know what, this is not for you. This is not just a job that you can go get. And then I had responsibilities. I had a wife, I had 2 kids. We just built a brand new house.
Right.
And you're right. I had a great job, one of the top companies in the entire state of Arizona Public Service. I'm making a lot of money for a young kid
Of
who's
course. Right.
24, 25 with no college degree. Dude, life was set. And then when it became a calling,
Right.
and then when I put my name on that application, all of a sudden I breezed right through it, right into it.
Right. No, that was and you had 3 attempts, man. You didn't stop.
No.
You kept listen, there was something. And I gotta, hats off to your wife, man, because
Mhm.
you got that family, man. And listen, that's great. You've got a calling. Great. Love it. You're looking at taking over a 50% pay cut.
Mhm.
Bills still got to get paid.
Oh
That's
yeah.
and for her to have your back, not only, I mean, throughout the whole story, but to support you in that initial, like, this is what you want to do. I support you wholeheartedly.
Yep.
Um, it's the underlying like theme, like my Nicole has always had my back,
Mhm.
even when I gave her no reason to have it, and
Oh
it
yeah.
seems like your Susie's just like, she's just
Well, and
without her, there's no you, man.
you know what's great when you look back on your life, there's a reason they say hindsight's 2020, but I see these little things like people ask all the time, like, damn, how'd your wife stick by you through this? How are you guys okay today? And I can go back and be like, you know what, when I first got this job, when I gave up this other career
Hmm.
and I went to making 13 bucks in the academy, we lost our house. We had to move into an apartment and
Right.
she didn't blink. She didn't cry. She didn't yell at me.
Amazing, man.
She was right there for that. And it's like, you know what? The foundation was being laid. I just didn't know what for. Yeah.
Right.
Or
Yeah. I
neither one
mean,
of us
that
did.
was
Neither one of us did.
right. I mean, certainly people have marriages have dissolved over a hell of a lot less.
All the time, especially right
Right.
now. But you're right.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially.
And so that was just, I guess that was her warm up, man, because she was getting
Yeah.
ready to jump into this thing, man,
That's
with
right.
both feet, right?
That's right.
Um, you got out of the military, you got on the job, and you've got your boys, man, Shane and Brian. Um,
Oh, dude.
and that's, you're telling the stories about going through the academy and all the bullshit that we go through, and then like when we're actually on the road, and um you know there was never a bad day at work, man.
Never. Not there wasn't a bad minute at work.
Right.
I mean, this job, and I love telling people because I believe it's so deep in my heart. If you do it with the right honor and humility, you got to have both those things.
Right.
It's not just a 40-hour week job. It's not a paycheck or some benefits. But when you do this, it is the greatest, most rewarding job. I don't care what you're doing. I literally every day is going to be every call is going to be different, right? It's going
Right.
to be in a different location with different human beings and their emotions, and could be on a shoplifter call, could be on a drowning, could be on a murder, a domestic violence, and then you're back to, changing somebody's tire in 115-degree weather out here in
Right.
Phoenix. You
Pushing
don't know.
somebody, yeah, doing
You don't know
whatever.
what's coming,
Yeah.
but
You know,
it's
I found
awesome.
that the thing that really, I look back, with even all the things that, we go through, um, it's that calling, like to care, to care more about your fellow human being than you do yourself. And there's
Mhm.
something, this is going to sound fruity, man. There's something magical about that, man.
It,
There's, maybe magical is not the right word, but
oh, I think
um,
it is. I think it is. When you think back to when you were brand new, right?
yeah,
And then, so hold on to that for a second. Think back to when you were brand new, you were first in that uniform, you were first in the car, you were first off of you were solo. And then think to how people talk right now with, if you're dumb enough to watch, freaking national news
right,
or
sure,
whatever. What I remember the most was, you could be dramatic if you want, that you're seeing people in their darkest hours or their worst times or whatever. But the bottom line, the facts of it are, when somebody calls 911, when you show up, it does not matter who you are, how old you are, what color you are, what gender you are.
what
As soon as
political
you're,
affiliation you
it doesn't
belong
matter.
to.
As soon as your car pulls up and as soon as your car door opens, there's an overwhelming sense, and you can feel it
Right,
in the chaos, that
right,
everything's going to be okay.
right,
And buddy, I'll tell you what, if you don't think that's magical, you're
yeah,
crazy, because it
right.
is.
And I think that, it's funny. I was talking with a buddy of mine. We both did 30 years um, down in South Florida. And, he knows what I'm doing now, and I'm speaking, and just like you, I'm trying to help people. And he's just like, the fuck's wrong with people, man? Like we had the best time, and we were in
uh,
West Fort Lauderdale, like rocking and rolling. Like, what
yeah.
like he's amazed that I have a job right now. Like there's a need for me. He's like, what the fuck's wrong with everybody? I go, listen,
A
bro.
lot.
I
A
go,
lot.
I go, I go, we had each other, man. And when you
Mhm.
have each other, I think that helps solve a lot of problems. And
It does.
unfortunately, I don't know that the bonds are as 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 deep as they were when we were coming up. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. I think that at the end of the day, guys being there for each other. I love what your agency did for you when you got hurt. They assigned Shane and Brian to you and your family.
Yeah.
Like this wasn't like uh like, listen, my agency was great at, like, for the first week, they would, they're fucking rock stars. For the first week,
Yeah.
your family got taken wherever they wanted to go. You had to go to Publix to get groceries. Don't worry. Come week two, man, you better figure that shit out on your own, because they got to get back to work. Your PD
Mhm.
kept your two buddies with you for months and
Months.
months.
Months. And paid them
And not
unmarked cars, city
and
cell
not just for
phones,
you,
off
but
the
for
street.
your whole extended family, whatever you needed.
Oh yeah.
Like that like gives me hope. Like that there are still bosses out there, there are still commands out there that truly see this as a brotherhood, and step up in the darkest of times to
Mhm.
be part of the solution for one of their guys. And they did that, which was really, that struck me as something that was like, I want to talk to Jason about that, because
Yeah.
I,
We would have never made it without that. I mean, I can't give enough credit to the city of Phoenix and who was in charge at the time. My
right,
my lieutenant commander, assistant chiefs,
right,
my chief at the time, Harold Hurd, and then the chief who succeeded him, and after that, and it's faded off over the years, but I think it's a generational thing.
right,
You're right. Back then, we had the camaraderie was just a little more. meaningful, a little
I
more
think so.
serious.
Well, you
They
remember,
took
listen, we
they
got
took good care of me.
2 months in a coma, 8 months in the hospital, 52 plus surgeries later. I mean, it's probably 62 by now. Right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's just,
that
it's,
doesn't stop.
no, it's not never ending, man. And it just, listen, it just kind of like restores my faith in some command and that when the cameras are packed away and the mic's taken away, that there are some people that still give a shit. And I thought that was really cool. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself.
All right.
March 26th, man, 2001. I just a regular day, man, regular night shift.
Regular day. Yeah.
And
You know, it had some significance though. That was the anniversary of Mark Atkinson's death, and he is the ultimate reason why I did become a police officer and succeed. Because in my failures early on, I just simply said, I mean, I don't want to sound like I was like, well, I'm just going to take my ball and glove and fucking go home and do something else.
right.
But I recognize it wasn't for me. And when Mark was shot and killed,
now you were standing on the
it
side of the
was
road,
it was earth shattering. Oh
right?
yeah, standing there wearing a hard hat and
Hard hat over your heart,
boots
and you
and
watched the
oh dude, and
procession with
I
the,
watched
yeah,
that
man.
procession, and I still remember to this day counting just the motor officers before you got to the hearse. There were 82 rows
Right, yeah.
of motors before you got to the hearse, and I was just like,
That's
I,
that
that's
made an
that
impact, didn't it?
I got to be doing that, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna put on his uniform. So, well, he was killed on March 26th, 99.
Okay.
So March 26th of 01 was a big deal to me because I went to work, and I mean, a year, I'm off probation. I got more than a year out of the academy. You still don't know what the hell you're doing. And
True. True.
but I went there with just a little more emotion, just a little more like oomph in my day, a little more pride in the
Sure.
uniform. And I actually left my precinct, and against policy procedure, I didn't care. I left my precinct and I went over, Phoenix is a big city,
Right.
fifth largest city in the country. And I went over to where he was shot and killed. He's got a beautiful memorial marker. And I
Okay.
spent some time there.
All right.
And not a long time, maybe 2 minutes, right?
Right.
Make the sign of
Sure.
the cross and
Right.
thank you for your
Kind of pay
service.
your
Thank you for
respects.
yeah, pay your respects. And
Right.
then dude, I'm 10-8, let's go. And to think back to me sitting there alone, not knowing that, in about 8 hours, you're probably going to need
Yeah.
the same little memorial
You're gonna
marker.
be saying another
It's
prayer in 8 hours, brother.
of all days. I mean, on
Right.
his anniversary, so it just makes it even more impactful for me. And then it also carried through in the future to when I found out, because I was in a coma. So when you wake up from a coma,
Sure.
it's going to take a minute, right?
Right. Yeah.
To
You've
figure
been
out the
snoozing. You've been
answer.
snoozing for
Yeah,
a little
I've been
bit.
sleeping for a while and a lot of stuff has happened. But that was one of the first things I heard. I was like, March 26th, that's the day Mark was killed.
Right.
And now I'm, why am I here? Why did I get to
Right.
wake up and survive? And he was shot in the head. I was in a damn car accident. I was going through emotions, John. It
Yeah.
was just like I went from happiness and oh, thank you God, to you talk about being embarrassed.
Like,
Why did
why did
duty? I
I
was like,
get
why me?
spared?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was a car accident. I mean, at least be doing something. At least be in the fight. I'm at an intersection.
Right.
So I
No,
had all those emotions to deal with. So
crazy.
the date was significant.
And it sounds like it was. And so the accident happens, and
Yep.
it really, I read it like 4 times. The list of things that had to have happened for you and me to be talking right now, it goes beyond miracle. It really goes beyond a miracle. From the firefighter being late or sleeping in
Sleeping.
to make the fire truck 30 seconds later and it's dispatch to a different call,
Mhm.
to your brothers coming up and somebody having a knife on them, to the girl driving the fire truck to make a left and not a right and pull up right in front of you, to the guys getting on the radio and calling for an ambulance immediately, to, you just go, you take one of those variables out of the
Mhm.
situation and you're dead.
Mhm. Just just one. Anyone.
One,
Take one
one
out.
of 10.
Take one
Um,
out, take 2 seconds away, and you're right. I'm not
the
sitting here.
firefighter having presence of mind to spray the nozzle by your head and face to cool, so you could, if you did breathe, you wouldn't be singeing and completely destroying your lungs. I mean,
Yeah.
who the fuck thinks of that?
Dude, I know. And this guy, and I'm still very good friends with him to this day. We actually honor the anniversary together every year. But you know, car fires, it was pretty intense. Like it was licking the bottom of the freeway overpass where I was. They said this
Right.
thing was fully engulfed. And this guy stood right next to my window, and he would go from fighting the fire. And then a lot of people don't know this, but on a fire hose, if you pull that big lever one way, you're shooting water. Well, if you push it the other way, you can shoot pure oxygen right
Okay.
out of it. So he's going from battling the blaze to being like, you know what, Jason is surrounded in fire and black smoke. I got to get him some air. And he would shoot that oxygen. Meanwhile, while he's doing that, the fire's now crawling up him. No
Sure.
regard for his own safety. You know what it takes to do that? I mean, fight or flight is real, right?
And when you're getting, listen, when you're feeling that, when you're getting burned and you can run away and you can leave. Listen, I felt that intense heat and I pulled back.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
for him
Uh-huh.
to stay there, and it was just, there wasn't, everybody was on their A game. Everybody was doing what they were trained to do. Everybody was doing something heroic
Mhm.
that day. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm not taking it. Listen, your heroic measures happened once you woke up,
Way later.
right?
Way later.
But up
Yeah.
until that point, you've got all these people just firing on all. I mean, they are rocking and rolling.
Mhm.
Nobody is
They
missing a
did.
beat, and they're smashing a window, grabbing your legs, ripping you out of there. And I think the funniest part of all this is they're like, "Hey, who's the black guy?
Yeah.
Who's the?"
Well, the road I was hit on, so it's Thomas Road. If you go and it goes east and west all the way the entire length of the city. The south side of Thomas Road was Central City Precinct, which I worked. The
Okay,
north side of Thomas Road was Squaw Peak Precinct. So I was on the border, and that's why they couldn't figure out. They're like, who is this? And they're trying to make calls. Well, certain people are trying to make calls like,
sure.
you know, what officers working right, nobody can
Which,
figure
yeah,
out who it
which
was. And then
African
obviously,
American officer do you
and
have on
I
a
did,
roll
yeah,
call
and I
tonight?
didn't look. I didn't look. I was
Dude.
completely burned. So when if you haven't seen that before and you're a young kid in your 20s, when you first look at it, yeah, I don't think it was out of the norm to ask, hey, I think this is a black
Right,
officer. Do we
and
have
yeah, and just in
who's
case this is, our listeners haven't
give
put two and
give
two
give me the
together.
list of
Yeah,
names of who's on
Jason
duty
was
right now?
burned so horribly that he was
Mhm.
black. He was
Yeah.
burned
Mhm.
to the bone.
Mhm.
And he was not a white male. It was not Jason sitting in that car. No, everybody
No.
was trying to figure out who's the black deputy,
Mhm.
who's the black officer,
Yeah.
and it was you the whole time.
Yeah.
Um, and they get you out of that car, and the burn treatment center was a county that you guys refer it to, like, take me to
It,
county.
it's since changed names, and they built a new one, which is it's the best in the country. But at the time, I'd still argue it was the best back then, second busiest.
Right.
But yeah, called it's just county hospital. So they would see, they had the burn center, and they would see all the other level one stuff.
Right.
And I was 2.5 miles away, and to get there in under 8 minutes from impact to emergency room being 8 minutes, dude, you're a first responder. That doesn't happen.
Never,
It's
never in a
never.
million years
I'm
would
telling you,
that happen.
if you wrote this script, I think that's probably why the book came out in 2014, right?
Right.
And the guy who wrote it, Landon Napoleon, just an amazing author. He's written like 20 something books, and one of them was turned into a movie. And he keeps trying to make this turned into a movie. And I'm telling you, everybody in Hollywood's like, get the fuck out of here. That didn't happen. It's not possible.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can't make that up. It's impossible. It's impossible.
And it just at every turn, man, at every turn. And so I getting you into the surgery, and it's one of those things where everybody's like, I think people are conflicted, like I hope God takes him soon, because like this is just horrible. Like they were not, if you were in Vegas, man, nobody was putting money down on Jason,
No.
and
No. No, I was crapped out at the roulette table, dude.
yeah, man, and Brian, you and Brian had always had that talk, and you made that pact, like, hey, listen, I don't want to be a vegetable. I'm not gonna, like, if I can't, you got to take care. We got to make some hard decisions for each other. And in the book, it's something you guys bust each other's balls about now, but he's I'm going to go to the book. Chapman too struggled with the onslaught of emotions. At one moment, he was afforded some alone time with his partner. He sat staring and praying as the monitors beeped. The mercy bullet promised came into Chapman's mind. What are friends for, right? And he shook his head, smiling. Chapman's .40 caliber Glock was holstered on his right hip as he sat in his dark blue uniform. Sorry, pal, speaking to you, he said aloud with his hand on Schechterle's chest. You made it this far. I just can't do it. One day, this would become another point of delight, folly, and banter. Jason Schechterle was going to live, and as he would regularly remind people, the only reason he survived was that his best friend couldn't keep a promise. Thank God he pussied out, right?
And I never fail to remind him. He's one of our assistant chiefs now. He's had an incredible career. You'd love this guy. He's just a cop's cop, but a great administrator, great businessman. Never forgot. He did 6 years in Bowling Green PD before he got to Phoenix. So I think that's kind of why I gravitated toward him in the beginning.
Yeah, he's like, a little more seasoned, right?
This guy's, he's squared away. He's been there. And but I tease him all the time. Like, dude, I gave you one job and you couldn't get it right.
Oh my God.
But
God, damn it, Ryan.
And you know what I love? He went through a lot. He's the one who did identify me at the hospital because of a tattoo. Right. And then he's the one who
went to Susie too, didn't he? He went to the house.
He woke my wife up, and this is the middle of the night, and changed her life forever, knowing that when he got back to the hospital, I was going to be dead. Oh. And he didn't want to tell her that. Right. He just said, hey, Jason's been in an accident. We got to go. And and then he's calling other people in my family. He's calling our friend. I mean, the guy had a very difficult job in those hours. Meanwhile, none of that allowed him to say, you know what, my best friend's dying.
Right.
He's going to die. I got to go to a funeral. I got to go to a funeral 5 days. I got to give a eulogy. He wasn't allowed to even think about that.
Right.
And, I just love this guy to death. He's amazing. His family's amazing. But of course, as good friends should, I don't say that. I only say that behind his back. To his face, we talk a lot.
That's the beautiful thing about this thing of ours, Jason, is that there's so much that can be said without saying a word. And that's exactly why we're in the thing that we're in.
That's exactly right.
And while all this is going on, Jason, and I don't want to minimize your recovery and your multiple there was one point where the surgeon who initially was looking at you with burn victims, you got to get rid of the dead skin. And he's just like, what are we doing here? Are we just we're taking this kid's face. Is that what we're like? Had to, it was so bizarre that he had to like check with everybody in the room. Like, is this what we're doing? Because, and it's just reading it, like they're removing and there's no blood. They're removing. And it got to the point where they were down to bone. And it's just like, and then, with infection, and you're fighting all these infections, and it's just at every turn, man, there's something, right? There's a little bit of light, and then there's the reality of the situation. And that goes on for months, And while that's going on, you are continuing to beat the odds. You are continuing to fight. You are continuing to, have struggles and pain, but while all that's going on, there's a backstory that's going on with the car that you were in. And so the Reader's Digest version of it is there's a design defect in the Crown Vic. And then when it gets hit from behind, the gas tank is positioned in such a manner that any rear end collision at any decent speed is going to cause the gas tank to move forward, be ruptured, and explode. Ford is infamous for that with the Pinto and their whole line of cars. This goes back into the 70s. A design flaw, and these motherfuckers, they did what corporations do. They knew there was a problem, and it came down to money. This is my theory. And it's just like everything else. Do we pay to have it fixed and recall a fleet of hundreds of thousands of vehicles, or do we just pay for the wrongful death lawsuits when they come out, here and there? And that's their decision. They were okay with guys getting burned to death and guys dying, because it was going to cost them too much to retrofit a plate or provide a system that would allow the occupant of that vehicle to survive should they be rear-ended. And so there's a whole nother backstory, Jason, going on while you're fighting for your life.
There was, but I credit that with being a huge part of my recovery, my desire to be in the fight, my desire to accept my appearance. Because when I started to learn these things, here in Arizona, we were ground zero, and I didn't pay attention to it. But in 98, we lose a state trooper. In 2000, we lose a state trooper. Then we have my accident. A year later, we lose a Chandler police officer. Then I start finding out about a Florida Highway Patrol officer who's killed. Louisiana.
I'm looking at the book, Jay. It goes back 83, countless. 92, 96, 97, 98, 2000. I mean, it's just.
And it was countless people. And then just as important, so many more civilians that you never hear about.
Absolutely.
Never hear about.
Absolutely.
So when I recognize, I can't explain why I'm the one who got a fire truck in the intersection, but I can choose to be a face and a voice, because it's easy to talk about somebody who's dead. It's unfortunately easy, but it's not easy to look at this. And it's not easy to hear what I have to say about it. And so,
you're not being dismissed, Jason. Nobody's dismissing you.
Being an advocate for that and being able to fight. And that's when I started to put my face in front of cameras. That's when I started to testify and travel and speak up. And then we had a lot of agencies in the state of Arizona lead the charge. Like, all right, you guys aren't going to fix this. We'll retrofit our cars. We'll fix them. And then finally, in 2011, the Crown Vic was stopped being produced.
Sure.
Pretty much not on the road as a police car anymore, but I still see them. Somebody goes to a police auction and buys an old Crown Vic or a bunch of taxi
some
cabs.
Agencies are still using them as pool vehicles or whatever.
But thankfully, for the most part, the fires have come to an end, and I think it's I think it's 33 officers total that died. I'm the only one that survived this. I mean, nobody survives this anyway, but
No.
um, it gave me a new reason. Okay, like this is my new calling. This is
Sure.
what I got to fight for. I got to fight for not only the people that went before me that can't speak right now, but all the people that are going to come ahead of me. I don't just get to go home and be like, cool, I'm alive, life's
Yeah.
good. I got
Yeah.
to fight for these people. And you know what? It was a hell of a fight, but I look back on it now, and it's one of the things I'm most proud of, and helped me a lot in overcoming my adversity.
I think, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but I think it probably gave you a new sense of purpose, right?
Sure, 100%. And without purpose, you got nothing.
Right.
I mean, you
Right.
got nothing. I'm still serving other people. I mean, I went back, we could get into this. I went back to work. I ended up working in homicide,
Yeah, you did.
and I was still a cop, and being a dad, we ended up having a baby after the accident, which was huge. So I
Yeah, not
had
everything got
a
burned.
lot. Not everything got burnt, baby. That's right. I think that was my third question after the coma. uh, but
Brother.
for dude, without purpose, what do you have? You got nothing. And I had purpose coming at me left and right. Like this, we got to do this today. We got to do this. Oh, and by the way, we got 3 hours of some really, really painful therapy we got to get through, and some tears and some you
Yeah,
being pissed off. But you know what? Outside of that, we got to do this. We got to do this. And that's what got the momentum going. That's what got the positivity going.
sure.
And man, once that started rolling, dude, it just it never stops.
I that section of the book when you're talking about in January of 2002 with the Olympic flame run, I was listen, I was dying, right? I'm laughing my ass off.
You
I'm,
can't make
I'm,
it up.
I'm laughing and crying at the same time.
Mhm.
So
So was I.
yeah, I bet. I'm like, I can't believe that he's got to do this. Like, because listen, you walked out of that hospital on July 31st, 2001, under your own power. That was amazing. But we're talking about running now, or a jog, or with an Olympic torch, and all eyes are on you, and you're like, your hands are all jacked up. You're like,
Oh,
God,
dude, yeah.
and it was funny in the book. The girl hands you the torch, and she's just like, just be careful, don't burn your face. You're like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah,
Check.
that's what I said. I'm like, no shit.
Oh,
Like, of all the instructions you give people,
that
I'm the one
is,
guy. I
that
think I
is
got this.
priceless.
Yeah, it was awesome. But that was that was like 10 months after the accident.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, I was blind for 9 months, so I barely got my eyesight back, but it was still so blurry that I could barely see. I lost half my fingers to amputation on top of the deformity to the rest of my hands. Nothing opens, nothing
Right.
closes. I'm just, I got two paddles is all I
You're
got.
still
Um,
trying to deal with
and I
that.
had gone from a solid, don't forget I was 28 years old at the time,
Sure.
working out every day. I was in the best shape of my life. I weighed a solid 200 pounds. I'm 6'3". The day I carried the Olympic torch, I weighed 121 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
You were
real
like
thin.
a human
I
stick
was,
figure.
oh, dude, I mean, and I looked so bad, and I was hesitant. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think I can do this for a lot of reasons. Like, I can't see, I can't hold it. I
Right.
don't really want to show. I know the Olympic torch run's a big deal, so it's gonna be all over the news. But then right away it was, no, hold on. You are gonna honor all those people that
Yeah,
went
man.
before
You
you
switched
that don't get
gears.
you're gonna honor them.
You
And
switched
then
gears.
you throw in that ridiculous, comment that all of a sudden I went back to my friends and I said, you guys are not gonna believe what this girl just said to me.
Oh my God.
And and we are all doubled over laughing. And I'm
That's
like, you know what?
hysterical, man.
I haven't
Oh,
laughed in 10
no,
months.
no.
And laughing and smiling,
Oh yeah.
it instantly makes you feel better than anything else. There's not a drug in the world that will
No,
make you feel
man.
like that. And all of a sudden I discovered that laughter actually is the best medicine.
It
And I
definitely
found
does
it again.
something, right?
And I found it again, and I can laugh at myself. That's the more important part. I'm not laughing at
Absolutely.
somebody else. I'm laughing at
No,
myself, and
no.
it's freaking great.
And so Danny Ainge, right?
Yeah.
You know, I remember Danny Ainge when he was a Boston Celtic.
Oh yeah.
All right, so
Oh yeah.
Danny Ainge is running towards you with the flame.
Mm-hmm.
You've got specific instructions.
Mm-hmm.
Just light the torch, keep the torch past the flame. Don't, hang on to the
Exactly.
torch, right?
Exactly. Yep.
So Danny Ainge lights your torch, and you're a fucking motoring, man. You are making your way. And I you know what? Like that, I lost it during that because in my mind I went there, right? Like I was in the crowd when you were running with that torch, man.
Yeah.
And then you come up to Kurt Schilling,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, this is like gonna be a little surreal, right? I mean, like
Oh, it's totally
Danny
surreal. But that
Ainge,
was
Kurt
the
Schilling, and
well, he was the MVP of the World Series. It was
yes,
only 2 months before that when they beat the
right,
Yankees, and he was the MVP. So it
right,
was totally surreal.
insane. And then in that moment, you're like, okay, fine, I'm done. It's like, come on, let's go, Jason. And
Yeah,
you're like, are you effing
I got
kidding
to do
me?
it. I got to do it again. Yeah, he wanted
200
me to
more
join.
yards.
He asked me to join him,
Oh yeah, and how do you
that
say no to
was,
that, man?
oh, you don't. You don't. I mean,
Right?
what a crazy honor that, because it was his turn to be
Yeah,
on the world stage. And when you're holding, when you're the only person on the planet holding something that started in Greece and
yeah,
is making its way to Salt Lake
yeah.
City, like that resonates with you. If you don't think about those details, you're missing out. And this was Kurt Schilling, but you know what? He had already achieved the top of his game. And
Right.
he looked at a guy like me and was like, dude, you did
Dude,
this. Let's go. And he took me with him.
you inspired him.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was
That's,
crazy.
listen, bro, call it what it was, man. You inspired him and everybody that day. And then you had your Yo Adrian moment on the stage. I thought was cool,
I
looking for
did.
Susie.
Dude,
And
screaming. Yeah, I was like, everybody's making noise. I'm like, where's my wife?
right,
And if you'd have heard my voice back then, it's a lot stronger now. I could barely. I had a trach in that
sure,
that I kept covered with, like, I'd wear a turtleneck or a jacket, but I had
right.
a trach in my neck, and yeah, my voice was really really weak. And but yeah, I totally had that Yo Adrian moment, and it's a fun to look back on. To just be like, you're my rock, and I love you,
Yeah.
and have the
And
crowd lose their mind. It was pretty cool.
it was awesome. I'm going to go to the book. He was fighting so hard for me, for us, for our family. She said, who was I to say I was tired? He inspired me with his inner strength. Jason said the same thing, that at his low times, I inspired him. We fed off each other's strengths. Um, dude, man, like what's out there for spouses and support, and the mess we make first responders of our relationships. I mean,
Yeah.
we can't, we we're constantly creating problems for ourselves that are insurmountable at times. And
Yeah.
here is Susie. Um, listen, I'm not trying to paint the picture that you guys didn't have tough times, because every
Oh yeah.
relationship has tough times.
Crazy tough to, yeah.
But for her just to acknowledge that, hey, it's you and me, and when you're down, I'm gonna pick you up, and when I'm down, I rely on you to pick me up and our family up. And you know what? Like that's another. I think that's another book and story in it of itself. Is you know her being by your side and playing that role.
Well, and to give up her career, which she had a good one going, and then
Right.
to be basically solely responsible for two kids because I was useless. And my kids were a little scared of me. They're intimidated by me, and they don't understand the
Right.
change in life. And then she's also got to, you know, drive me to and from therapy, drive me to and from surgery, go and pick up my prescriptions, and try to feed me again because I couldn't feed myself with how messed up my hands are. I mean, you're talking about 99 different roles this girl all of a sudden gets thrust into. And you know what? You're right. We're not going to sit here and talk about a fairy tale. We built we built a fortress for the outside world to see, and we were, uh, we were stronger together.
Right.
But trust me, behind those walls, inside that house, we had we had some very, very good fights on
I
days
know it's
on
listen.
days
Yeah.
that I was maybe like, you know what, I'm fuck this, I'm giving up. I'm
Yeah.
in too much pain. I'm just going to sit in my chair. I can't see. I'll never go back to.
Can't do
Yeah,
this. I'm not going back to work.
I can't see. I'm in too much pain. I'm going to sit in the chair for the rest of my
Right.
life. I can't work. And then her saying, if you think I stuck by you for all these months just so you can give up, you're fucking crazy. And we would have these knockdown dragouts, but nobody saw them. And it's the
Right.
same thing for all.
Like you
You
guys
know what
didn't
it's like.
stop being, you did on top of all of this, Jason, you didn't stop having the problems that married couples have on a good day.
On a good day. Yeah. Trying to pay
Right.
the bills, trying to
Right.
get our kids through school in the midst of what they were going through. And there's still had homework had to be done, and meals had to be made, and gas had to be put in the cars. I mean, it's the everyday things that people take for granted. You know what? They don't stop. They
No.
they don't it just because I got burned didn't mean all of a sudden my kids got A's on their report cards and the car had, a full tank of gas and the tires are always worked. That's not how life works.
No.
So yeah, she got thrust into a lot. And uh to look back, and what's great about her is we laugh like constantly now. And she is she could have been a great cop because she can make fun of me better than most. My kids are the same way. Make fun of me left. When I drop something or with my eyesight, I might bump into something, and
Right.
or they'll tease me if I get some accolade, or like when this podcast comes out, I'll be promoting the hell out of it and be like, dude,
Yeah.
this is the greatest thing. And dude, you'll hear one of them be like, oh, one little minor car accident. Look at me. I'm
Oh,
famous.
look at me.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But you need that, right? You
Right.
gotta you
No.
gotta stay grounded. You gotta stay
Dude.
humbled. I'm just Jason. That's it.
You know what, man? And through all of that. So I want to be respectful of your time, Jason. Um, let's talk about now, man. The
Yeah.
impact that you're having on people now.
Yeah.
Listen, the book is Burning Shield, the Jason Schechterle story. If you've been living under a rock like me, jackass, maybe you haven't read it yet. But I'm about adding value to your life, right? If you want to read a book and expose yourself to a story that adds value to your life, you got to pick up this book and read this story. I can, this is going to sound goofy. I can't believe I'm sitting here talking with you. It's something that's just I don't know when I would have ever sat down and talked with somebody that is the subject of such an amazing book and a life story. So for that, I'm blessed, and there's definitely takeaways that I'm so appreciative of. What are you doing now? I mean, you're a very sought after speaker. You're traveling around the world, sharing your insight and your story and your message. You've got a foundation. Tell me what's going on now, man, and the impact that you're having in so many people's lives.
That was another great journey. Being a police officer and having survived, and a lot of people don't know this, but a week to the day before my accident, we lost a Phoenix firefighter in a fire. So I was at his funeral 2 days before my accident, and I almost died in a fire. It's a big story. And then like we talked about, I carried the Olympic torch. We had another baby. I went back to work. And so it kept being in the news, and I'd get invited, come to a church, come to a school. Can you talk? And I didn't know how to talk. I didn't know how to share my story, and it hadn't even evolved yet. So then when I retired from police, I was like, you know what? I learned how to play golf again. That was my passion, something I love. My dad was my best friend. He's since passed on, but we I wanted to play golf again. And then I ended up going into business for myself. we owned a non-emergency medical transport company. And I'm like, you know what, this is cool. I got my health. I'm a dad. I'm just Jason. I'm kind of out of the limelight and life's good. And still doing a couple speeches here and there. Don't know what I'm doing. And one day, unbeknownst to me, I did a speech for a really large group of people, like 700 people.
Wow.
And guy comes up to me afterwards, and dude, I'm telling you, he spoke to me for 7 seconds. And all he said to me was these two things. He said, I'm a New York firefighter. I was at 9/11. I lost a bunch of my friends. And I'm currently going through a divorce. And you changed my life today.
Ooh.
And he walked away.
Yeah.
And I walked, I mean, I literally I don't even think the door to the building closed. And I got on the phone. I put my company up for sale. And I said, I know what I'm supposed to be doing. And now I got to learn how to do that. So it's like going through the academy again. I learned how to be a public speaker. I got to learn how to market. And I think I might have done 7 my first year. And then the next year I did 12 or 14. And then, you know, it really started to build. And now, you know, now that we're coming out of COVID and all that BS, it's getting back. And like I said, I travel all over the place. I'm easy to get a hold of. You know, my website, my book, my Instagram, my Twitter. I don't do Facebook because, well, I would never do Facebook because the most evil person in this country owns that fucking thing, and I hate him.
Okay, fair enough.
But you know, I'm easy to get a hold of. I love to share my story. I love to give my insights, and I'm still trying to get better. I just turned 50 this month, and I'm like, you know, I don't know how long I got. I don't know what the next 10, 20, 30 years are going to hold, but if I could do it tomorrow, I'm going to do it. And I wouldn't trade places with anybody, man. I wouldn't even trade a day, wouldn't change a day. I love what I'm doing, and I'm still able to serve. I'm still able to, you know, I still teach at our academy.
Okay.
I still stay involved with the PD as much as I can. I try to be an ambassador. I try to go and, you know, I talk to a lot of other PDs, not as many as I'd like to, but, you know, in all honesty, my time and my story are worth something and have value. And I don't do things for free. This is my career. I get paid to speak, and unfortunately law enforcement are not ones that have lots of money.
What are you talking about, Jason?
Well, the money they do have, they're not willing to give up. So
they got to give away more turkeys, man.
But I've been doing a lot of trainings and some great, like I did 2 different sessions in 2 weeks in Missoula, Montana. And I'm like, it's like looking at an oil painting. And I'm a huge Yellowstone fan. Like, I wish I was a cowboy, right?
You and me both, man.
So,
you and me
both.
I
love it. And I'm like, here I am talking to Missoula PD, or I talked to New York. I did the Florida State Gang Association, which was awesome to be among the whole state.
Yeah,
gang guys were there. And then I turned around and did the Florida Fire Chiefs. And, you know, I get to do a lot of first responders, but then a lot of my work is with sports teams and Fortune 500 companies. And yeah, I'm not going to lie, man, I got a pretty good life.
That's awesome, man. And it's so well deserved. So the Jason Schechterle Foundation, that's still running?
No, actually it's not.
Talk to me.
Well, I'll tell you what, running a 501c3 is fucking hard. Let me tell you that. It was getting a little nutty. There's a lot of you know, just stuff you got to keep track of to stay within the laws. And I found that I was better at serving others. So I do work with, like, I'm on the board for an organization called the Wounded Blue. I'm the secretary of the board that helps injured police officers all across the country, and not just physically, and it's mostly like mental and emotional. Then I'm on the board for Community Tissue Services, which is the largest tissue bank in the world, and tissue donation saved my life. You know, a lot of people, you can talk about a heart or a kidney transplant. A lot of people don't realize if you died tomorrow and donated your tissue, dude, you by yourself, you can help 120 people. But you didn't even know that. It's
No, I didn't.
amazing. So I'm on that board. The Wounded Blue, I work with the Arizona Burn Foundation and the Hunter Club of Arizona. So I'm just better at serving,
Sure.
and
Yeah,
um,
man, that's I can see how that could become not overwhelming, but more of a pain in the ass than it was
no,
worth.
it was just very difficult when you're asking people for money, and I'm kind of one of those people, like, I know who I'm going to donate to. I know what causes
Right,
I believe
right,
in,
right.
and I don't need somebody banging on my door and trying to sell
Don't
me
you hate
something.
that? I mean, yeah, I
So
mean, if you
so
hate
it turns
that,
out
all
I
right,
I sucked at do I can't be a hypocrite, right? I don't want you doing it to me. I'm not doing
dude,
it to you. So
good
I
call,
wasn't
man. Yeah.
good at the CEO. So I just kind of let it
Okay.
fade away after about 3 years. We did a lot of good work for
Right.
wounded veterans and uh, and law enforcement, but I'm glad that that's in the past, and now
Good.
I can be more of I can sit on boards, or I can be
Sure.
a consultant, or I could be a volunteer. Those
Provide
those
some
work
direction and some
yeah,
insight. Yeah,
those
man.
work a lot better. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
man.
I'm better as a self proprietor.
I love it. No, and
Not
you know what? And honestly, it makes a lot of sense. I actually joined the 100 Club of Volusia County here in
nice,
Florida.
nice,
Just
good.
trying
They're
to help
awesome.
out. Yeah, just trying to, and that's another thing that if you're in a position to help, I think when somebody gets injured or dies in the line of duty, their family they're on a lot of resources immediately that everyone believes, and so
Yeah,
paying that mortgage and
yeah,
bills and all that and providing one less thing for that family to worry about, I think is an important it's an important role to play, so that's
it's
awesome that you're
huge.
doing that.
Yeah,
Hey, I wanted to go back to the book for a minute, and then I want to get some of your final thoughts, if that's cool with you, brother.
perfect.
So still in the forward, remember I told you we'd go back to the
Right.
forward. And you say we all get to make one simple choice day by day. When yet another roadblock gets dropped in our path, to quit or keep going. In retrospect, our life becomes the story of how we overcome the adversity we face. It's never easy, and we never do it perfectly, but the important stuff, our determination, integrity, honor, loyalty, love, and family, is ours to keep. It's a bad cliche, but there's one tenet I try to follow. Life is 10% of what happens to you, and 90% how you react to it. Being burned alive was my 10%. How I reacted to it has been my 90. Are you
Yeah,
fucking kidding me? I mean,
dude, I got so many thoughts surrounding that, and obviously I had to learn them the hard way. But first and foremost, one of the greatest blessings I have, something I'm so grateful for, is that I take accountability for this. I'm not going to blame the guy who hit me. He went to jail for 10 years. The guy who hit me, that caused my car to catch on fire, and I can blame Ford, and I can do all this stuff. But you know what? I made a lot of choices over a long period of time that got me in that intersection,
right.
and those choices, having that accountability of why I caught on fire, why I was in that hospital bed, really laid a very strong foundation. So it was my 10%, and I'm all about resiliency, and just the very definition of resiliency is it's about overcoming your setbacks. It's not that you're resilient to setbacks and you're going to be lucky to not have them.
Right.
It's about overcoming your setbacks. And it for those of you who like to work out and go to the gym, what does it do for you? It builds muscle, it puts you in better shape, right? The
Yes.
same thing works for hardships and challenges and adversity in life. Your resiliency builds up, and you only get stronger mentally and emotionally, and you're ready for the next one that's coming. Life is not, if you think that you were born and you were a couple hours old and somebody whispered in your ear and said, dude, life's going to be easy, then you're just stupid. That's
Yeah.
not how life's not about being good or bad or easy or hard. It's life. And anytime you hear somebody say, life really sucks, I dare you to ask them, compared to what?
Yeah.
What are you going to compare being a human being to, and having this experience, having these emotions, the things that I can hear and smell and taste, the people that I get to love, the shit that I get to watch on TV or go out and drive my truck. Are you kidding me? There's nothing to compare it to. It does not suck. What
Right.
sucks is your attitude about whatever problem you're going through. And that is what you've got to find a way to overcome and be resilient
Got
above anything
100%
else.
control over that.
Oh, dude, you have 100%. And it's okay to not be okay. You've been
Right.
there, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
man.
dude, you've been to, thankfully you didn't quite hit rock bottom because you wouldn't have come back from yours.
Right.
But you came dangerously close. It's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to understand that you won't always win those battles. Dude,
It's
when I
okay
was in
to
the
fail,
hospital,
right? It's okay to fail.
when I was in the hospital, I was crying like crazy. I was yelling and cussing at people
Sure.
who were there to love and support me. I was not just this strong, positive person all the time, and I'm still not.
You mean
I mean,
Jason Schechterle never he never had a bad day. He was amazing.
yeah, believe it or not. Yeah, but you know what? I'll tell you what,
Oh,
and this is
brother.
another thing you guys don't. Well, when I say you guys, I'm talking to all your listeners.
Yeah,
Nobody
man.
wants to say the word vulnerability and nobody wants to feel it. But I'm telling you right now, you will never find more strength and beauty anywhere in this world. And I know I'm getting all fired up right now, but I
I
believe
love
in
it.
this so much. When you are vulnerable and you let people fight for you, when you can't fight for yourself, there is a strength and beauty that can never, ever fade.
I'm going to leave it right there, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Schechterle, brother, thank you. The pleasure has been all mine. I am humbled. I am thankful that we were able to sit down, and I'm excited for the future, the future for you and your family. And I'm looking forward to another conversation.
I appreciate it very much, sir. The honor was mine as well. And you stay in touch with me, please.
Will do, brother.
All right, be safe.
Thank you. All right, man.
That was awesome.
Dude, I was looking at the clock. I'm like, I don't want you having a scramble, man. So I gave you like 20 minutes to get
I
your shit
appreciate
together
it,
and
dude.
do what you got to do.
Dude, you're awesome to talk to. I love it.
No,
That's so
man.
good. That's so good.
I gotta tell you, I locked you in my phone. If you're ever in Florida again,
Oh, I will be.
I'm just
I love
south
that
of St.
place.
Augustine. Just south
Oh,
of
no
St.
kidding. I got an uncle in Jacksonville Beach. So
Dude, that's
you're right
fucking
there.
a half hour
You're
from
right.
me.
You're right there. Oh, I know.
And
One of my
listen,
favorite trips I ever took
next
was St.
time you're
Augustine.
down there, listen, I suck at golf. I mean, I suck. I'm horrible, but I love to play because I know I'm not good, so there's no pressure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, isn't it great?
I mean, I'm hitting the ball. I'm making good contact off the tee. My second shot is for shit. I couldn't save my life with my second shot, but I've got a decent short game. I can chip up and I can putt. So,
Yeah.
And I just love being out there. We've got some beautiful courses
Right.
in the area. But yeah, man, if you're ever in Florida,
Oh, I promise you, I will be.
I would
I'll be in that.
love to connect, maybe play some golf, grab some dinner.
Oh, yeah. At the very least. Yeah,
And
we'll definitely do that. We'll definitely do
that would
that.
be
I'll let you
great.
know next time I'm anywhere in the area. I got a son in North Carolina going to college, and he'll be playing some baseball down in Florida. And I do my speeches and my travels, but I love that place very much. I got an uncle in Panama City and an uncle in Jacksonville Beach. I love the golf side. I got so lucky to travel a lot when my son was playing high school baseball. We were always down in like Fort Myers. Fort Myers, from Tampa to Fort Myers. I mean, just what are you kidding me? That's one of the greatest drives I ever got to take. I'd fly in Tampa so I could drive down the coast and look at places like I want to live in Clearwater, or I want to live I know Fort Myers just got fucking hammered recently, but they did. Yeah, dude, we always stayed on Estero Island, and I'm like, I don't even know if it's there.
Yeah, we would go to Sanibel and Captiva.
Yeah.
Captiva Island. And I think that just got tore up.
but can't fuck with Mother Nature, and that's
No,
that's
man.
just the way it is. But no, bless you, buddy. I appreciate you.
Thank
And
you for your time, man.
No,
And,
yeah. Are you
I'll
gonna,
let you
you
know
gonna let
when
me
this
know
is-
when this comes out?
I most certainly will. And I'll probably, if not this week, probably next week, I'll
Okay.
release it. And let's stay in touch, man, huh?
No, please, seriously. I really, I feel like great chemistry and connection with you. Thank you for your service, everything you went through,
Yeah,
and
man.
all the time you spent talking to me. It really does. It means a lot to me.
It's right back at you, brother. We're blessed.
Tell your Nicole I said hi.
And tell Susie
And
the same.
tell her to put the rocks in the right place.
I love you, man. Take care.
You got it, buddy. I'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.